Welcome to this training module on performance and image-enhancing drugs. This presentation explores the culture, chemistry, and physiology surrounding these substances. It's important to distinguish between three related but distinct categories. Performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs, are used primarily to gain athletic advantage. Steroids and image-enhancing drugs focus on body composition and appearance rather than sport. Human enhancement drugs, or HEADS, go further, targeting cognitive function, sexual performance, and general lifestyle improvement. The use of enhancement substances has evolved considerably over time. What began as a pursuit of athletic supremacy has shifted toward aesthetic and lifestyle goals. Today's users are often not competitive athletes. They are individuals motivated by appearance, identity, and cultural ideals of muscularity. The performance and image-enhancing drugs landscape is broad and complex. It encompasses anabolic steroids, selective androgen receptor modulators, or SARMs, peptides and growth enhancers, ancillary drugs used to manage side effects, and a vast supplement and fat burner market. Understanding these categories helps practitioners identify what clients may be using and why, because motivations and risks vary significantly across the spectrum. Beyond the core compounds, there is a significant ancillary market. This includes cosmetic substances like tanning peptides, aesthetic modifiers targeting fat and skin, cognitive and sexual performance enhancers, and thermogenic fat burners. Together, these products form a personalized stack tailored to specific physique and lifestyle goals. Many are unregulated, poorly studied, and misrepresented as safe, creating real risk for users who may not fully understand what they are taking. Anabolic androgenic steroids come in a range of compounds, each with distinct profiles and effects. Key substances include testosterone, the foundational compound, alongside trenbolone, mandrolone, boldenone, masteron, and stanozolol. These differ in their anabolic to androgenic ratios, half-lives, and routes of administration. Understanding these profiles supports more informed conversations with users around potency, detection windows, and the specific health risks associated with each compound. One of the greatest risks in performance and image-enhancing drugs use is product quality. The supply chain is largely unregulated. At the top sit pharmaceutical-grade compounds, which are verified medicines with consistent dosages. Below that are underground lab products and veterinary compounds, which vary enormously in quality. At the bottom are counterfeits and entirely fake products. SARMs and peptides sold online are a particular concern, frequently mislabeled, underdosed, or contaminated with unknown and potentially dangerous substances. Anabolic androgenic steroids work by mimicking testosterone in the body. Anabolic effects promote protein synthesis, nitrogen retention, and muscle hypertrophy. Androgenic effects influence secondary sex characteristics such as body hair, voice depth, and libido. But AAS use carries a biological cost. Introducing exogenous hormones disrupts the body's natural endocrine feedback systems, with consequences throughout the cardiovascular, hepatic, and reproductive systems. Human growth hormone is a peptide hormone naturally produced by the pituitary gland. It regulates growth, cellular repair, and metabolism. In a PIED context, synthetic HGH is often stacked with anabolic steroids to enhance lean muscle, accelerate recovery, and reduce body fat. However, synthetic HGH carries significant risks, including joint pain, insulin resistance, and organ growth. SARMs and peptides are widely marketed as safer, legal alternatives to anabolic steroids. This perception is largely misleading. While SARMs are designed to bind selectively to muscle and bone receptors, they still cause hormonal suppression. Despite being sold openly online and sometimes labeled as research chemicals or supplements, most SARMs are not approved for human use. They carry particular risks for younger users whose hormonal systems are still maturing. There is a persistent myth that oral steroids, pills, are safer than injections. In practice, many oral anabolic steroids are more liver toxic than their injectable equivalents. Most are C17-alpha alkylated, a modification that enables gastrointestinal survival but places significant strain on the liver. Regular use can raise liver enzymes, cause bile flow problems, and in serious cases, damage liver cells. The risk depends more on the specific drug used than how it's taken. The drive toward extreme muscularity does not occur in isolation. Cultural forces shape demand. Historically, athletic and heroic physiques were celebrated, but modern extremes have been amplified by bodybuilding culture, action film aesthetics, social media algorithms, and the widespread availability of enhancement compounds. The contemporary idealized male body is often physiologically unachievable without chemical assistance, a cultural shift that has progressively normalized PIED use among non-competitive users. The term looks maxing describes the practice of maximizing physical appearance, particularly popularized through platforms like TikTok and online subculture forums. It exists on a spectrum. Soft maxing involves skincare, structured nutrition, sleep optimization, and exercise. Hard maxing moves into riskier territory, jaw augmentation procedures, unregulated peptides, and hormone manipulation. Social media has blurred the line between self-improvement and chemical intervention, particularly for young men seeking validation online. Understanding the online ideological frameworks through which many PIED users operate is important for engaging them effectively. Internet subcultures use pill metaphors to describe worldviews. The red pill represents a perceived awakening to social and biological truths. The black pill embraces nihilism and biological determinism. The blue pill signifies willful ignorance. The white pill offers a counter-narrative of hope and agency. These frameworks shape identity, motivation, and resistance to traditional health messaging. People who use performance and image-enhancing drugs are not a homogeneous group. Practitioners benefit from understanding at least 4 distinct profiles: competitive athletes seeking a performance edge, aesthetic users driven by appearance and social validation, research-oriented users who self-educate and attempt to manage their use carefully, and vulnerable individuals, often younger men, drawn in through online communities with limited awareness of physiological risk. Tailoring support to each user's specific motivations is essential for effective engagement. Performance and image-enhancing drugs act primarily through 2 major biological systems. The endocrine system, the network of glands producing hormones, is profoundly affected. Steroids, SARMs, and peptides all interfere with hormonal signaling, disrupting the balance of testosterone, estrogen, cortisol, and growth hormone. The nervous system may also be implicated, particularly through the mood-altering and neurological effects associated with high-dose androgens such as trenbolone, which has been linked to significant psychological disturbance. The hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis, the HPT axis, regulates natural testosterone production through a feedback mechanism. The hypothalamus releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone, prompting the pituitary to signal the testes. When exogenous androgens are detected, the feedback loop suppresses its signals, shutting down natural production. This causes testicular atrophy and endogenous testosterone shutdown, effects that can take months to reverse, and with prolonged heavy use may become permanent. The harms associated with performance and image-enhancing drugs use are wide-ranging. Physical harms include cardiovascular strain, liver damage, hormonal disruption, and musculoskeletal injury. Psychological harms encompass body dysmorphia, mood dysregulation, aggression, and dependency. Social and economic harms include strained relationships, financial costs, and engagement with illicit supply networks. Effective harm reduction requires practitioners to acknowledge the full spectrum of harm, not solely the physical, and to support users holistically across all areas of their lives. Injectable steroids are administered through several routes. Intramuscular injection into the glute, quad, or deltoid is most common. Subcutaneous injection is used for lower dose compounds and some peptides. Steroids should never be injected intravenously. Poor technique, reused equipment, or non-sterile conditions increase the risk of abscess, nerve injury, and blood-borne virus transmission. Harm reduction services should provide appropriately sized needles, sterile technique guidance, and sharps disposal, regardless of the substance being injected. Individuals who inject performance and image-enhancing drugs have different needs. larger gauge needles and higher volumes of equipment. Giving out specific exchange packs signals to users that they are seen, understood, and not judged. Discreet, anonymous provision removes barriers to access and builds the trust necessary for ongoing, meaningful engagement. A typical anabolic steroid cycle lasts approximately 12 weeks. Users administer one or more compounds during the on-cycle phase, often stacking to maximize results. This is followed by an off-cycle rest period, then post-cycle therapy to help restore natural hormone function. Throughout a cycle, ancillary drugs, estrogen blockers, liver support, or diuretics may be added to manage side effects. Cycling involves periods of use separated by abstinence. Stacking combines multiple compounds to exploit synergistic effects. Pyramiding gradually escalates dose to a peak before tapering down. Blasting and cruising alternates between high-dose blast phases and maintained low-dose cruise phases without a full off-cycle. Each strategy carries a different risk profile, and understanding what a client is doing provides essential context for harm reduction conversations. When exogenous androgens are introduced, the body's natural testosterone production shuts down, often completely. Following a cycle, recovering endogenous production can take weeks or months. During this window, users experience low testosterone symptoms: fatigue, reduced libido, mood disruption, and loss of muscle mass. This is one of the most psychologically vulnerable phases of PIED use. Without appropriate support, many return to substances to relieve symptoms, reinforcing dependency and escalating long-term risk. Post-cycle therapy aims to restart the HPT axis following a steroid cycle. Compounds like clomiphene citrate and tamoxifen are most commonly used. Originally developed as fertility treatments, they work by blocking estrogen receptors at the hypothalamus and pituitary, stimulating gonadotropin release and prompting natural testosterone production to resume. PCT does not guarantee full recovery, particularly after heavy or prolonged cycles, but it significantly reduces the duration and severity of post-cycle hormonal suppression. Effective harm reduction for performance and image-enhancing drugs requires a pragmatic, structured approach. Support substance choice with factual, non-judgmental information about relative compound risks. Encourage protocol adherence through guidance on sterile technique, appropriate dosing, and cycle length. If oral steroids are used, they should only be used for short periods, 4 to 6 weeks maximum, to prevent liver damage. Promote active monitoring, regular blood panels, cardiovascular assessments, and liver function tests, and support recovery planning, including PCT guidance, mental health referrals, and exit pathways for those who want them. The bottom line on performance and image-enhancing drugs is clear. The physical gains are real, but so are the risks. Short-term side effects are well documented. The long-term consequences of modern PIED and SARM stacks, however, remain poorly understood due to limited longitudinal research. Many users minimize or dismiss risk, particularly early in their use. Practitioners who engage with genuine knowledge, respect, and without judgment are far more likely to build the trust needed for honest dialogue and potentially life-saving conversations. This presentation has been produced by TD Training and Consultancy. All content is intended for professional training and educational purposes only and does not constitute medical or clinical advice. Thank you for your engagement with this module.